So yesterday, Chelsea became the second team in Premier League history to rack up 600 victories. Let's have a look at the game, shall we? Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue Part of London. I hope you are doing well. I am your host, Nathan, and it's an absolute pleasure to have all of you here. Thank you so much for joining in. So, before we get started, if you haven't yet already and you've seen my face a few times, it would mean so much to me if you would consider subscribing to the channel. And if at any point you do in fact like this video, hit the thumbs up button just down there. It really does help out the videos. But let's have a look at the game last night. Chelsea beat Aston Villa 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, and it was a beautiful performance and some very sort of standout sort of players, really. Like, some of these players literally outplayed themselves, and we had a couple of hiccups as well, like not probably the best debut for Sal. So let's get into the game itself. So the game overall was very, very impressive. It's something that we are starting to see a lot of with this Chelsea team. They seem very, very hungry. They seem very sort of like up for the challenge of this Premier League. And, you know, yeah, our next game is within the Champions League, which means we are going to start defending it. And it looks to be quite an easy one, but we'll discuss that more in the next video. But it does sort of show with the team selection, which I got completely wrong. I tried to sort of assume what was going to go through Thomas Tuchel's heads, maybe looking towards the game coming up on Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening. But yeah, he did make some serious changes. I think 6 overall that started out onto the next game, and he rested a number of sort of high profile players. And yeah, let's have a quick little look at this graphic which I got from OneFootball. Now, OneFootball is an app that I use to get most of my Chelsea news, most of my England news, or any other sort of like sports, football related updates. I will leave a link to their Instagram just below, but I do recommend checking them out. So let's have a quick little look at this graphic, and we'll have a bit of a talk about the team as well. So I got the entire formation absolutely wrong. He did start 3 at the back. Now, we weren't entirely too sure what was going to go on with Thiago Silva, hence the reason why I decided to do a back 4 and rejiggle my team a little bit. But Thomas Tuchel is a man of habit, so he stuck with the back 3. But he did not include Christensen, which I assumed he would, but maybe because of his sort of involvement with the internationals with Denmark, he chose to leave him out. And in the last breath, literally on Saturday afternoon, Thiago Silva was given permission by FIFA to feature in this game, which is a little bit strange considering the Argentina players for Aston Villa weren't allowed to play by the looks of it. So they were sort of down a couple of their first team players. But Thiago Silva did get the opportunity to start in this game, as well as Trevor Chalobah also got a start again, which, you know, he played once again really, really good. Solid performance from him, which just goes to show that we have so much depth within our squad. And it's sort of shown throughout the pitch. Mason Mount did not start in this game. He was on the bench, but he did not even feature in this. I think he was being rested after his sensational performances with England, which means there was a debut start for Sal, which we will go in a little bit more detail in a second, but it wasn't the best 45 minutes for him. And it just goes to show the type of manager that Thomas Tuchel actually is, that he is not afraid to sort of make the tough decisions. But let's have a look at player performances, shall we? Now, there were some sensational standout performances all across the pitch, starting with the goalkeeper, Mendy. Do you know, when he decides that he's in the mood not to be beaten, to keep his clean sheets, he seems to be everywhere. And a potential man of the match performance from this man. Like, there was an opportunity where Aston Villa were really on top of us, and he made like 3 consecutive saves. At one point, he was literally on the floor, and he dove himself back up to make a brilliant save to keep the scoreline to 1-0. The back 3, very, very solid. Thiago Silva did start this game, as I said before, which, you know, just to sort of show, like, he is in his late 30s. He's 36 years old, you know, but he doesn't look like he's ever going to slow down. Yeah, he's probably gone down a pecking order a little bit in our defensive sort of lineup. Like, you know, Christensen's doing well, Tony Rudiger's doing well. Obviously, Aspilicueta is still performing good. And we've got Trevor Chalobah, who again had a sensational performance in this game. And on the wide positions, yeah, we knew we didn't have Reece James, so Callum Hudson-Odoi stepped in on the right flank, and he was outperforming that right-hand side. He was always up and down, always looking to pass forward, always looking to link up as well with the midfield. And Alonso kept his place on the left-hand side. Also quite interesting about Alonso that he was actually given the armband for this game, because obviously Azpilicueta started on the bench. Now, some people may have said that maybe Thiago Silva should have been given the armband, but I personally feel that maybe because we weren't sure if he was able to sort of feature in this game, Alonso was given the nod above Thiago Silva. And then when the option came to keep him in, I don't think Thomas Tuchel had the idea that he would sort of like strip him of that sort of honour of being captain for the day. So yeah, he kept hold of the armband. Very interesting as well that when Azpilicueta came on a little bit through the second half, that he didn't pass over the armband. There were a few eyebrows raised for that, because as we do know, when your captain comes on, they generally sort of be given the armband. But I sort of like the statement by saying, no, you started as captain for this game, you will finish as captain for this game. And it was a nice little statement. I don't feel that they had the obligation to pass the armband over. Like sometimes in the past, it's been sort of like something that's just been thrown around sometimes, especially with England games. You've noticed that there are people are, oh yeah, you take it now, and you take it, I'm being swapped over. And it was a nice gesture to sort of keep Alonso captain, even when our captain came onto the pitch. And potentially we've got our vice captain, which I think is Thiago Silva at the moment, sort of like not getting the nod, even though Alonso was sort of said, you are our captain for this game. So it was quite good. The midfield sort of pivot of Kovacic and Sal, it didn't sort of go well. Sal had a very difficult first 45 minutes in a Chelsea shirt. Now, I was quite surprised that he was included. I was very surprised that he was sort of like starting this game. But this is the reason why we brought him in on deadline day. When we have the likes of Jorginho, Kovacic and Conte, we've brought Sal in to be that sort of like fourth player in that sort of rotation. So maybe give him the opportunity in what could be classed as one of the lesser games in this sort of like short little run. I think we've got Tottenham and then Man City coming up. He needed a little bit of a taste of the Premier League and to show the sort of gulf in class between the Premier League and La Liga. And yeah, he got quite a lot of hate actually on social media throughout that first 45 minutes, which I think is a little bit unfair. He was a sort of like a fish out of water. He was closed down a lot. He had a lot of missed passes, and you could just sort of see it in his face that his confidence started to drop quite a fair bit, really. And Thomas Tuchel showed the type of manager that he was. He wasn't willing to give him like another 10 minutes just to sort of like calm yourself down, don't worry. He was like, sorry, you're not playing well. We are only up to 1-0. We need to take control of this game. So he brought Jorginho on at half time. How's that going to do with Sal's confidence? We don't know. Hopefully he'll just sort of brush it off and realise this is a team performance, which is what Chelsea is at the moment. They win as a team, as and when they lose, they'll lose as a team. They are such a tight structure. And I'm going to go into that a little bit, how sort of Lukaku performed as well. We had that wonderful sort of like flat free in sort of like in front of him, and obviously Lukaku up in front by himself. And Lukaku played an absolute blinder of a game, which, you expect him to do. He's back at Stamford Bridge. He's sort of, I know everyone sort of says he's got a bit of unfinished business, but he scored his first goal and second goal at home. And the first goal was just absolutely brilliant. It was a sensational pass. I think Sal actually got hold of the ball in midfield, passed it to Kovacic, who did a nice little sort of turn around, dropped his shoulder, sort of got rid of a couple of midfielders, and then just sort of saw this wonderful pass. Lukaku arched his run beautifully to stay on side, and the pass was like, mwah! And Lukaku was in on goal. Now, he had a lot of work to do. He only had 2 attempts on target, 2 attempts on goal, and he scored both of them. Both goals was beautiful, but his first goal was sensational. He sort of cut it onto his favourite left foot, which I think the defender thought he was going to shoot with, so he slid in to try to block it, but Lukaku sort of clipped it onto his right foot and sort of shot it into the net, basically. And it was a beautiful goal. And you could see the raw emotion of Lukaku that he finally got the score in front of his home fans. And it was it was pure class, pure class. Now, for the rest of the first half, Aston Villa came out quite strong. They weren't willing to sort of like sit down and go, right, do you know what? We are against a more superior team, but we have beaten them quite confidently in the past. They took 4 points off us last season, and they started to sort of like, their confidence started to grow as it stayed at 1-0. And for the rest of the first 45 minutes, especially the fact that they were sort of like taking control of that midfield quite sort of well, actually. You know, Sal, like I've just sort of mentioned, wasn't performing at his best. So they sort of grew in confidence. And we were quite lucky to go into the first half or half time at just 1-0 because of the sensational performance of Mendy in goal. Second half, Chelsea did not let off the gas. I did always feel that Chelsea had another gear in them, and I was waiting for them just to sort of like step up a little bit. And even though Aston Villa came out with a little bit of confidence, the second goal sort of really knocked them for 6. Yeah, they probably should have felt that they should have scored in the first half and made it 1-1, or potentially sort of won the first half. But there was a really sort of like bad back pass by Tyrone Mings, and Kovacic just sort of, he just anticipated. He saw the run of the ball, for I can get to that ball before the goalkeeper, and he just sort of clipped it over and scored his second Premier League goal and his first league goal at Stamford Bridge as well. And you could just see just how pleased he was. I even sort of said that he doesn't score many, and literally the commentators said exactly the same thing. And, you know, me and my daughter had a bit of a laugh about it. You know, she sort of says how, you know, the commentators copying what I said. And from that moment on, Chelsea were sort of in control of the game a little bit, with the sort of likes of Jorginho coming on. He sort of settled that midfield down a little bit. Aston Villa didn't have as much as the ball. We put a nice string of passing around, so got the cheers from the crowd every time we completed the pass, and Aston Villa kept on sort of chasing the ball around the park. And of course, in stoppage time, Lukaku got his second brace of the game and sort of like just killed it off. It was a very flattering scoreline for Chelsea if you really sort of look at it. Now, I spoke into sort of like the build-up video for this game that playing Chelsea after an international break is very, very difficult, especially for a Chelsea fan and a Chelsea player, because, you know, our players go off to different parts of the planet to play their international games. And for Thomas Tuchel to make 6 changes for this game just goes to show that he has the depth in the squad to be able to put sort of like what you could call a B team out onto sort of like a pitch for a league game with an eye for a Champions League game going forward, which gives me a lot of confidence as a Chelsea player that our sort of like B team can still perform to a high level and still win what is potentially a difficult game. Mason Mount didn't even appear in this. He got a nice little rest. He got a day off. So hopefully he'll be fresh for the Champions League game come Tuesday. And like I said, like even though we didn't seem to sort of need to work hard, we got a very impressive performance and a scoreline out of this game. So 3-0 was the overall line. I think I guessed 2-0 in my prediction, so I wasn't too far away with that one. And yeah, it was a really, really good performance. And, you know, we are joint top of the league, only in second place because of goal difference. And, you know, this performance was sort of like outshadowed by the wonder that is Cristiano Ronaldo in Manchester United, who obviously scored 2 as well at the weekend. But yeah, I was really, really impressed with the game. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I would love to hear what you think of the game overall. So please hit the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video. And until next time, guys, enjoy the football, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days. See you later.